Morning guys, HyDra again. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. OpTic Texas last scrim set last night going into the Esports World Cup against Cloud9. A very interesting scrim set there we'll dive into, but also the reaction from HyDra on that team to the fact that the OpTic boys look to be flying either business or first out to ReeaL, whereas the Subliners might not quite necessarily have that luxury. Does this provide an advantage when they get to the event? Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. As we talk about this here in the background, just quickly wanted to mention, as you guys are watching this video, I am likely on a flight to ReeaL. It should be around about that time. I haven't already announced, it was kind of said that the Break and Wait boys, we are going to be there alongside the flank, so I think they did mention it on the award show a little while ago, but if you guys hadn't heard, yeah, going to be there. Going to be fascinating, and we'll be doing a show over the course of the weekends. It's going to be different to I've ever been before. The temperatures are ridiculous, by the way. It's like 47 degrees. This is Celsius during the day. You're talking about 116, 117 Fahrenheit, something like that, and even at night, it's still like 32 degrees in like the dead of night. It's absolutely ridiculous, and thankfully inside I'm sure it'll be nice and air conditioned. So anyway, for me the flight's relatively reasonable here from London. It's like 6 and a bit hours, whereas from the US I think Clay's talking about doing like a 16-hour flight to Qatar and then flying on from there. So it's not easy, and obviously for the players jet lag is going to be a big factor. Flying in from America, from the UK it's a couple of hours like ahead of UK time, but obviously in the US, a different story. So we'll get into that when we discuss the whole business class versus economy versus first class debate. Before we get there though, here we go from Surge. Now, you know, gotta say, they've put together another like banger production quality video here. To have a look at this thing. We've got bloody Martin Scorsese directed this. Like, I mean, look at what's going on here in the background. They're doing this whole mission, and it looks like they're swimming up there to Vancouver. So, I mean, kind of incredible stuff. And they are rebranding to Vancouver Surge. So this was the debate we had the other day because of the teaser they did about this with the Surge dog tags lying around on wherever it was on the sand or something. I was wondering whether the Surge branding was going to go, but no, it is what we expected a year ago, that they are rebranding to the Vancouver Surge. Now this was known about, it was talked about for literally a whole year, but I'm guessing, knowing Surge, they like missed the deadline or something last year, and therefore they never got the job done. So it was still Seattle for the last year, and now they're making that transition. So it's still a city, and it's still Surge, but it's going to be in Vancouver, not in Seattle, where, you know, their parent organization is based. So some talk on whether this is good or bad. I think it's kind of cool. I mean, like, Vancouver, I've never been there. I know that people gas it up like a lot, and I think for good reason, to be fair. I'm sure every city has its pros and cons, but it seems an absolutely stunning place. So if they want to do a Vancouver event, I'm not going to complain necessarily. And now technically another Canadian team, right, in the league, and well, we'll see if that kind of goes anywhere from there. Just quickly on ReeaL, because he made the point a little while ago from the Cloud9ers, or whatever you want to call them, which, to be fair, is by far the better name than like New York Cloud9 or Cloud9 New York. The Cloud9ers actually goes pretty hard. I do kind of hope that's what people actually call them, but I guess we'll see what they decide. Anyway, ReeaL says, representing the Big Apple, officially I'm calling them the Cloud9ers, and he says he hasn't signed, no. So I'm not exactly sure what this means here from Java, just because there's talk about the contractual situation over at the Subliners being a little bit interesting right now with ReeaL and with Sender, who's going to stay? Are they going to keep both of them? Like, what happens in this transition phase to Cloud9? This haven't signed. Kind of sounds like they might have given him like an offer, but he hasn't yet signed the deal. Maybe considering alternatives, or like, you know, none of that's happened. I don't really know, but I think it certainly would be, well, it would seem like a mistake, wouldn't it, from Cloud9 side not to re-sign those guys for next season. But of course, they're still going to work with them through the Esports World Cup. And let's talk a bit about that, because as Clay says, 16-hour direct flight and come in, and he's got to find some things to do. Now, Clay's not going to be playing, but well, he was obviously like to be, but he wasn't because he was dropped from the Ravens. So he's more than likely, well, obviously, I think, going to be on the desk on the broadcast for the event, as we talked about a little while ago. And obviously the boys are getting out there pretty much today. I don't exactly know when the Toronto guys flew, because I think their last day of practice they did was 2 days ago, whereas for OpTic it was yesterday, with them flying out there today. And like, pretty funny tweet here from Zin, as was this from Tyler Fellow, to be fair. TJ just spent 7 racks to upgrade to first class. This guy's a straight up prince out here. So, I mean, look, whether this is actually true or not, it's kind of unlikely. But you can, you know, justify it to some degree, depending on your perspective. I remember actually when Crimsix talked about this, when some of the players, I think it was last year maybe even the year before, but I think it was last year, when the players were flying out to London for the World Series of Warzone, Crim was saying that it was kind of like weak mentality to already book yourself business or first to go to these events before it even happens. Of course, you know, saying that, well, you do it on the way back after you've won type thing, rather than, you know, think you're all this going into it, right? And that was an interesting kind of point of view from Crim, a very Crimsix way to think, to be fair. The other argument would say that, well, be as best prepared as you possibly can. If you're doing a 14, 16-hour direct flight with no legroom back in economy, you're probably not going to be feeling the best over the next couple of days. You've got massive jet lag to consider. If you can get any sleep on the flight, that might pay dividends down the line. And also, you've got to remember, like, last place in this tournament, I think, pays out 5k each. So you've got to think that even if you come in and get dead last, you're kind of paying for your upgrade in some sense. And of course, if it actually results in you placing better than that, at least in some small parts, then it's probably worth it. We'll discuss a bit more on that here in a second. Before we get there, let's talk about the scrims from yesterday. I'm pretty sure OpTic yesterday were meant to play Cloud9 and then Boston again, which is what they did a couple of days ago when they scrimmed them the first time. So the first thing to say on that is that more than likely that means that these are the only teams that will let OpTic stream their practice, which is all kind of funny, isn't it, how it works? Like, you get these teams, I get it, right? I do get it, but, you know, it's the World Cup. It's not, obviously, maybe as big of a deal as the World Championship in terms of size and fans and whatever of the tournament, but nonetheless, it seems that some of the teams further down the league, when they scrim OpTic, because I think OpTic would have probably streamed everything over the last couple of days, but they only got to stream the Cloud9 games and like one series against Boston, presumably because everyone else they practiced against said, no, we don't want you streaming our practice. Whether that's going to result in an allegation, oh, this team's terrible or whatever, or whether people are going to look at the mini-map and see what their breakoffs are or whatever the case is. It's always an argument, but fair play to Cloud9 at least giving us some of the content, because they played a scrim set yesterday, and, you know, Cloud9 played well in this one, probably better than they did the other day. The map one, which was on the 6-star, went as follows: 250, 194 in favor of Cloud9 on this one. HyDra had 36 in 21, Sib had 36 in 24. I think the other day it was Sib that had a slightly harder time in this scrim set. Today it was Kenny that had, or yesterday it was a Kenny that had a slightly harder time in the scrim set. Again, despite the fact that OpTic got outslayed by so much, it actually wasn't an overwhelmingly competitive victory for the Subliners, really. And then OpTic bounced back. They won the Karachi 250-175. Obviously a good map for them. They then lost the Rio 250-181. So, you know, these teams going back and forth big time. And let's not forget, right, like the other day, OpTic handled business very impressively against Cloud9 in their scrims. This time it was slightly more back and forth. Kismet had a really good map here, by the way, on the Rio. But still, New York Subliners, as they were back at the World Championship, were like one of the best teams there in hardpoints. They were really, really good at hardpoints. So even just splitting maps here is pretty impressive. Another kind of rough one from Kenny. And, you know, people in the replies like, oh, well, it's time to go, Kenny. Your time is up. One bad scrim against, you know, the second place of the World Championship, and all of a sudden it's time to go. They then lost the sub base. Pretty interesting, actually, because a couple of times they've played this against Subliners over the last few days. A couple of times they've now lost it. I do think sub base, it's not the best map. I'm not going to try and pretend that it is. But I did think it was a slight shame we didn't see more of it at the World Championship. I do think that it's kind of a nice map to throw in there to a series just to see what happens. The teams would very rarely leave it in, and I totally get it. But I would like to see a bit more of it this tournament. I think we will, because there's actually just loads of games going on, to be fair. And then the Vista, this one went to Subliners by 1 point. This was the map, of course, where Dashy dropped 50 the other day. This time Shotzzy drops 40 and 37. So just, I mean, to get more engagements than HyDra on this map is pretty impressive. To be fair, the Skyz as well, 38 and 33 with 1 minute, you know, 120 seconds in the hill. That's pretty impressive for considered to be a slow AR. So maybe there's something to be said for the way that they're looking at changing up their playstyle. But, you know, people are like, oh, damn, OpTic are washed or whatever. But clearly not the case, because they went on to play the Control and they just crushed them on this invasion. This was not even close. Shotzzy was trick-shotting them 31 in 15. That's, you know, what he tends to do, especially to the Subliners on this map mode combination. They then won the Karachi 3-2, and that was pretty much it for the series that they played. So overall, I think it was maybe 3 map wins for OpTic, 4 map wins for the New York Subliners, and that's pretty much where they called it for practice for the day. And then, of course, they moved on. But I wanted to share a couple of clips here, one of which from Shotzzy was pretty funny, and then one of which from Dashy talking to HyDra.
Let's see here. What the fuck? Yeah, we fly out tomorrow, chat. I actually can't wait. I actually cannot wait for the flight. I have no idea why. Well, actually, it's because I'm fucking first class. Holy fuck.
You guys got it.
Yeah, don't worry, man.
You guys got the New York, no way, New York cheese. The New York cheese. Wait, I thought
New York. No, it's not New York anymore. It's Cloud9. But
oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Turkish airline.
Aren't they good too?
Huh?
Aren't they good too? Actually, I thought every like airline like that's European is good compared to like the ones we have. American is.
I mean, Turkish airline is not the best, but you know.
What are the good
but
ones?
You got the best shit.
Hey,
are you guys playing first class? Of course you guys are.
I can't lie, like. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane, bro. That's fucking insane. I'm gonna go here, break my back, sitting down 18 hours, just getting shit on, and then I'm getting off. 16 hours flight, no economy, bro. I'm just economy, just getting shit on. Oh my god. Of course you guys are fucking first class, bro.
It's business. It's not first, it's business.
So what do you guys think about this whole economy versus business debate? I'm not exactly sure whether the World Cup themselves are like paying for the travel for the players, because if they are, I presume if they were to do that, they'd probably just pay, you know, the standard rate, and then if the teams want to upgrade to business first, whatever, then they are free to do exactly that. Now, as I say, when you've got like a 14-hour, 16-hour flight, potentially with some connections in there as well, you've got, let's say you're flying from Dallas, you've got an 8-hour time difference, which is the same between LA and the UK. That's a big deal. You know, that's jet lag central, that type of stuff. So the players are going to get there. Well, they fly today. They will get there like in the afternoon on Tuesday, right? Like it's a long way. And they're going to be hella jet lagged, probably. Wednesday's then, I guess, some sort of media day, and the matches then start on Thursday. So it's a pretty standard schedule for the players. Get there Tuesday, Wednesday, they do whatever, and then they start playing on Thursday. But this is going to be a more difficult adaptation period, given all the circumstances, than they're necessarily used to typically. So it does make some sense, is what I'm trying to say. If you want to upgrade, get a bit more sleep on the flight, I get it. Also, you won champs, I get it. And you're probably thinking, well, we're going to come in and win a bit of money as well. It's worth it to, you know, lock up the upgrade, I suppose. And it seems like the Subliners are maybe slightly mixed on this, because HyDra was talking as if, yeah, he's going to be stuck back there in economy. But Skyz says, thank God I've got a bed for my 14-hour flight tomorrow. So, of course, you're not getting a bed back at economy or premium economy. It's business at a bare minimum, or even for a bed, you're really usually talking first class. Business, it depends on the airline, I guess, but business, you might have like a chair that will nicely recline or whatever, have your own little booth. But for a bed, you know, they're going to make up for you. You're usually talking a little, you know, potentially one step further. As I say, it depends on the airline. And I'm not exactly an expert on this type of stuff. I'm going to be flying, you know, straight economy British Airways today, and hopefully all goes to plan, because as I say, as you're watching this video, I will be on the flight in the air somewhere flying down to Saudi Arabia. So going to be fascinating. Very much interested in your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comments section below. Just one final thing to mention. Crimsix, of course, locked up the #1 of all time list on Ronnie's ranking yesterday. I just thought these numbers were, you know, pretty impressive. So hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.